Good afternoon, Froma. It's a pleasure to be with you again. For people who don't know you, you are the co-director for the Chicago Center for Family Health. You also are a professor emerita at the University of Chicago, and of course, you've written one of the best known and best regarded books on family resilience called Strengthening Family Resilience. Today, we're going to be talking about making meaning of adversity in the Families Tackling Tough Times Together program. The theme that goes with is called Our Family Will Get Through This. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you talk about is that it can be helpful to families if they can think about stressful situations as part of normal life. But this pandemic is anything but normal. Can you offer some guidance for families about how they can make something so unbelievable and incredible feel more normal?
Yeah. Well, I think we hear a lot of talk about the new normal and that things are changing. And the thing is, we like to think that life is about everything staying the same, but actually things are always changing. If you have a baby, you know how rapidly things change from day to day, week to week. You wake up in the morning and your baby looks older. So we actually live in change. And I think the first thing around meaning making is helping children understand what's happening. Like, why do they have to stay home from school? Why can't they see their friends? And in simple ways, and I think there's some good guidance. We hear it on TV, some of the explanations about, well, this virus, I'm not going to do this here now, but helping kids understand at the level at which they can grasp something. That right now, it's like whatever. And another way people try to make meaning is, well, who caused this? How did this happen? How did it come about? And sometimes people can get stuck there in looking for who to blame, when the next part of meaning making is, okay, this happened to us. It came from out there beyond our control. We didn't ask for it. It's not our fault. And what can we do about it? So resilience is all about what we do when bad things happen. Mm-hmm. How do we try to dust ourselves off and not feel helpless at that moment? And that's where we talked about hope earlier, that we can see, even if we can't see 3 months down the road, which we can't right now. How do we see to the end of the week? Mm-hmm. How do we see to the end of the month? So part of it is chunking it down to make it manageable, mm-hmm. so that it reduces the anxiety and the sense of uncertainty. Okay, we can get through today. We can get through the next day. We can get through the week. And maybe it'll be a little clearer when we get there. So it isn't like we're suddenly going to know everything at the beginning, but over time, we'll learn more about it and how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. You've anticipated very nicely my next question, because you do say that families who see life as manageable and feel confident that they can tackle challenges are really laying good groundwork for resilience. But again, so much of the current situation is beyond families' control. So is it hopeless that they could feel confident that they could tackle it? How can they build that sense of confidence in themselves?
Well, we talked at another time about this idea of focusing on what we do have some control over and not getting trapped and feeling helpless and powerless by the things that are beyond our control, and yet without giving up hope. So we might not feel optimistic. I'm not really optimistic about going to my favorite restaurant in June, or kids playing their favorite sport, but we don't know yet, and we're not going to know for a while. Mm-hmm. So I have to find a way to tolerate that uncertainty and do what we can with what we have in the time we have and the place we are, which is right here in our house, right here in our family. We can't visit grandma, but we can pick up the phone and call her.
Mhm.
And the other thing is using memory and stories are so important in meaning making. So we might ask kids or to think back when something bad happened in the past and how they got through that.
Mhm.
And who was helpful? What was helpful?
Mhm.
What were some of the barriers? And what did we do to get over it? Or what did we learn out of that experience that didn't work so well? So we don't just focus on the moment we're in, but we can expand our awareness to, or maybe asking parents, when you were growing up, you know, you must have gone through something. I mean, we went through 9/11. Grandparents went through wars, whether it was Vietnam or earlier, even back to World War II. And, to draw on that collective memory and storytelling in families that there have been bad things that have happened in the past.
Mhm.
And what was that experience like? What was hard about it? Don't just skim over the hard part, but who were the helpers? How did they help? And how did you draw on inner strengths to get through?
It seems that every day now that families are dealing with this current challenge, they're they're writing a story for the future. I was wondering if you had any thoughts about things that families might want to be doing that help them capture this current experience and write the story of their family in the pandemic.
That's such a wonderful idea. And each one could be capturing different things. And one could be following the news, and one could be, talking to mom and dad. One could be with the kid, or they can just be reflecting on what it's like for me, keeping a diary. What I used to do when I was a teenager. And here's the thing that with resilience, there are a lot of bad things happening. There are a lot of disruptions. There's a lot of loss and sadness. There is also, alongside that, opportunities. Like, I'm not just stuck in the house. We now have time to do things together. Maybe to get out that Monopoly or Scrabble set and sit around and play in the evening together and laugh together and do things together that we haven't had time to do because, mom and dad maybe had two jobs or they had irregular schedules. Kids were overstructured with before school and after school activities and going here and going there. And it's like, there's almost like a deep breath, like all of that outside what we're supposed to be doing and have to be doing that was part of normal. Oh, I'm on vacation from that. So how can I, find things to do here and now that might be enjoyable together? We've got, it isn't just watching that clock tick or each going to your own little getaway on your laptop or your phone. But what can we share together? Telling stories, writing stories, drawing pictures.
Mhm. I think those are such great examples. And I think even families that are feeling really stretched by trying to do two jobs from home and having lost their childcare provider or even struggling with financial or other issues, there are things that have been taken off the plate, if you will, and that does give us a moment to choose
That's,
what it's important to us to go back to. So that is an important part of telling our story now and helping families remember this experience as part of the lore of their family. I want to thank you for oh, I'm sorry, please go ahead.
I just wanted to say I liked that that you said choose. To keep remembering when there are things beyond our control, there are still choices that we can make.
Mhm. That is a very good thought to end on. Thank you so much for today's conversation. I look forward to our next conversation.